Welcome to Dr. Nurse Paul Show, hosted by Aspire RN and Dr. Paul. You are watching the USA Nurse Series, Chasing the American Dream. Dr. Nurse Paul is an NCLEX expert, having trained and mentored thousands of international nurses past the NCLEX RN for over a decade. He graduated with a Doctor of Nursing Practice in Texas Christian University. He is a registered nurse, an advanced practice registered nurse, and a certified family nurse practitioner. He also has completed a certificate for nurse educator postgraduate course. Aside from teaching, he has extensive clinical experience in emergency and family medicine. He has over 15 years of combined clinical and academic healthcare experience. Dr. Nurse Paul is an immigrant from the Philippines. He is currently based in Houston, Texas, where he operates his business, Dr. Nurse Paul, and Aspire RN NCLEX Prep. He loves to share his life story of how he overcame his challenges to reach his dreams. He is passionate in helping nurses realize the American dream. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Nurse Paul.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. And I'm having technical issues with my computer right now. I did restart it multiple times already, even a few seconds before the show went live. But my computer is freezing, so I'm trying to put up my Facebook here so I can see it, because my computer is really freezing right now. I don't even know if I am streaming live right now. I know it is because my camera is on, but I couldn't see the feed clearly because it keeps freezing. So the lag is like few minutes. But anyway, hopefully it gets better. I did restart my computer already, but that's what happens with live show. And I think I have to upgrade my computer. I've been using it really nonstop for the last couple of days, doing classes in the morning and in the evening for my NCLEX students. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. I think my computer is now working, might have restarted. But thank you for joining the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. We are live doing the USA Nurse Series, and today we're going to talk about dissecting job offers and contracts, all right? So today I'm going to have 10 points that I will talk to you about what you need to look for when you are transacting with an American employer, and when they're offering to you job offers and contracts, what do you need to look for? And we're going to look for possible red flags or things that you might need to question to advocate for yourself. And we have different viewers here. Please share this to your page and tag your friends so we can have them on the show today. I will be accepting questions today. If they have questions about their contracts, about their employment, maybe we can answer that live. And this is actually a two-part show. Today I'm doing it myself with the dissecting job offers and contracts. On Wednesday, I will have an immigrant lawyer, my friend, attorney Nick Carkel, based off of New York, is also an immigrant attorney from he's also an immigrant from the Philippines and is now working as a lawyer in New York as an immigrant lawyer. So we'll talk to him about immigration 101 policies, like types of visas that nurses can use, what are family-based visas, what are employment-based visas, what are H visas, what are fiancé visas. So these things we're going to talk about with attorney Caracal on Wednesday here in the Dr. Nurse Paul Show, and it's going to be 8 p.m. Central US time. So there's going to be a little switch because I usually do my show in the morning and usually every Saturday, but we're going to do this Wednesday night because, of course, for the reason that people are working during the weekdays. So watch out for that show. This is a two-part series about immigration issues. It's a back-to-back show. But today, I will be discussing this dissecting contracts and job offers. We're going to dissect that. And like I said, I will give you 10 points that you need to look for when you are being offered or being given a contract to work as a nurse in the United States. And of course, there's a lot of legal loopholes that you guys should know, or legalities that you guys should know, your rights. You have to advocate for yourself because you don't want to be scammed. And of course, we've heard horror stories where immigrant nurses come over here and they don't have jobs, or the jobs that were offered to them were different than what they really signed up for, or they were not paid appropriately, or so many red flags. And last month, I was in a show with Attorney Caracal and Attorney Trinidad, and I streamed it also here in my page. And we've talked about so many things. It took us about an hour or two to talk about and dissect so many things about immigration and immigrant nurses, the plight of immigrant nurses here. And because of that, because of so many nurses coming over here, not only from the Philippines, but from everywhere in the world, moving to the United States to practice as a nurse, we have a lot of agencies or organizations with good intentions, but there are also agencies or organizations that are unscrupulous, taking advantage of the naivety or innocence of our immigrant nurses. So today we're going to talk about those things that you need to watch out for. That way you don't get put in that situation where you arrive in the United States and you got scammed and things were not actually what you were told. All right. So very important to really read your contract. Some people don't like to read contracts because they're long. They're probably a couple of pages with so many texts. If that's something that you cannot do, please seek a lawyer's advice. All right, that's their expertise. They're really trained to dissect those legal jargons. All right, and um, it's very important that you know the contents of the things that you're signing off, because we are nurses, right? And we know that documentation is very important. Whatever is written, whatever we signed in our chart, that's legal, right? That can be brought to the court. That will be a proof of what we did and what we did not do. Same is true with your job offers and contracts. For as good as you are, when you are checking your documentations and making sure that everything has been charted as what happened, or what you did to the patient, or how you did those things, or your procedures, or all the tasks that you did for the patient, or interactions and conversations. In the same manner, you should also be very meticulous when reading your contracts and job offers. All right. And like I said, apologies if my computer is messing up. Um, but I mean, I've been overusing this computer for the last couple of days. I've been doing classes nonstop. After this show, I still have another class with my NCLEX students. I'm doing pharmacology to them for 2 days, and today is the day number 2 for pharmacology. And that's only one class that I do. We do multiple classes in Aspire Art in different groups. But anyway, so my computer would freeze, but I would keep talking. I would keep going. If this show ends up being, a little very what's this? Uh, if there's a lot of technical issues where you couldn't understand what I say, we probably would have to reschedule the show and do it again. But for now, I'm gonna keep going because we're already live streaming in Facebook and in YouTube channel. And if there's a problem after this show, we're gonna review it, me and my team, and we'll have to do it again. But like I said, my computer is freezing right now. It's working, but it would freeze every now and then. I don't know the reason why. Um, but let's see. Anyway, our viewers are here. We have some viewers. I could not see your name because of Facebook permission. Um, but we have Pura. Good evening, Dr. Nurse Paul. Good evening to you, and good morning on my end of the world. I'm based in Houston, Texas, and it's around 8:09 a.m. here. We have Ann Robles. Good evening to your side of the world. She's in the Philippines. And we have another student who said, "Hello, sir. Have a blessed day. Thank you for joining. Please tag your friends. We're going to talk about job offers and contracts." I know I'm getting a lot of private messages in my account. I always tell people to, if you need to message me, message my social media account, the business account, the professional account, because I have my team helping me answer your questions In my personal account, some people would add me there. I have to let you guys know that there are thousands of messages that are filtered almost every day over the years because of me managing this large Facebook group, Lafora. I've accrued thousands of messages there in my filtered messages in Facebook, and it just doesn't allow me to like message everybody because there's plenty. If you guys have special questions that you do not want to put in the live show, send me a message in in my Dr. Nurse Paul Facebook account or TikTok. You can direct message me and I could answer you there. And if I'm not around, my team is also managing my account and they could get you started with information that they probably could help you with. If not, they're gonna let me know so I can respond to you directly. But I got a team working for me that's answering all your questions, and we do not charge for that, of course. But today we're going to talk about the job offers and contracts. And I'm getting a lot of questions here on the daily. And that's why I was like, you know what? Let's just put a show about it so we can talk about these things and, tell the nurses what they really need to look for in the contracts. All right. Tiffany is here. She said, good morning from Trinidad and Tobago. What time is it there, Tiffany? So Trinidad and Tobago is somewhere in Caribbean, one of the countries that I want to visit. Starting the day with coffee. After this, I still have a class. Thank you guys for joining. Now, for immigrant nurses or those nurses that are waiting to migrate to the United States, which state are you guys targeting to go or have already signed the contract to go to? Do you know which state or city are you guys going to? I'm currently located, residing in Houston, Texas. I've always lived in Texas, but I did travel nursing too. So I'm everywhere and I love to travel. So I've gone to multiple states already. I love to go around and experience new areas. But we have Mildred who just joined us. Good evening from Dubai and good morning from my side of the world. I'm in Houston, Texas. And we have another Facebook user. I'm sorry I could not see your name right now because I'm inside the app that live streams um, in all these social media accounts simultaneously. So some of you guys don't have permission to StreamYard, which is the app that I'm using. So I could not see your name directly from StreamYard. All right. But we're streaming on three different Facebook groups and pages and YouTube channel. But we have a Facebook user that says he or she wants to go to Florida and Texas, and another one wants to go to California or New York. All great states. And that's the beauty here in the United States. When I was interviewed before, why United States? One of the reasons is there's so much opportunities. There's so many places that you can go to, and you're not gonna run out of choices. That's it. So maybe today you want Texas, tomorrow you want Florida, next day you want Las Vegas, Nevada, or want to go to Denver, Colorado to hike, something like that. You have so many choices, and you can go basically anywhere. And you feel like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna earn more money in this state. Oh, you know what? This state has better nurse patient ratio. Or you know what? This state is closer to the school where I go to, or where my kids would go to, or where I want my students to go. You have so many options here in the United States, and you don't have to stay in one area. I always tell my nurses that are new here, you don't have to buy a house right away. I didn't buy my house. A lot of nurses like to buy their house in the first year, and I respect their choices. For me, it's more of I'm gonna buy a house when I know I want to settle in that state or city. Because when you have a house, you gotta be in the house, right? To maintain the house. So I did not buy my house till last year on my fourth year here in the United States because I know I want Houston to be my home. Maybe not permanently, maybe eventually I'll still move. I'm still young, right? But at least I have a house here and I'll be here for a minute operating my business, Aspire RN and Dr. Nurse Paul here in my office in Houston, Texas. But you guys don't have to buy a house right away. Try different countries. I mean, counties or cities or towns or states because there's so many different things, all right? And it differs from state to state. We have Ceci from New York. Thank you for joining. We have Aurora from Ghana. Thank you for joining. And Nick, who just recently passed the NCLEX. Woodland, Texas is 30 minutes away from me. It's one of the burbs, suburb around Houston, Texas. Very pretty city and a little bit expensive because they are very nice community. I'm right by Medical Center in Houston. Houston is one of the largest cities in the United States. I'm right by Med Center, so Houston itself is big. It's about 600 square miles, but Woodlands is about 30 minutes away from my house. It's about 15, 20 miles. And we have my friends joining me today, Pope, Marian, and Paulette. Thank you. They are in Florida right now. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys. Ceci is joining us from New York. Zulfikar is joining us today as well. Anyway, let's go to the 10 points of what I want you guys to check when you are signing your contracts, or not really signing, before signing your job offers or contracts to the United States as a nurse. Okay, assuming you've passed your NCLEX and now you're looking for a job, and now there's too many employers and agencies and recruiters that are contacting you that are all over social media. We give $10,000 to nurses that want to migrate here to the United States. We'll pay your house, we'll pay your car, we'll give you this much, give you this, we'll give you that. They have so many offers, and like everybody's really competitive with their offers right now, and I like it because it benefits our nurses with this very competitive packages. But behind these things that we are seeing in social media, what do we really need to look for? So today we're going to talk about 10 things that I want you guys to look for when you are offered a contract or a job in the United States. All right? You guys are ready? Elle is also here. She put a flag, but I'm not really good with flags. I think I'm good with geography, but not flags. And we have someone from Saudi Arabia planning to go to Missouri. Missouri is a beautiful state too, lots of nature. And okay, so point number one, we're going to talk about 10 things that you guys need to know before signing a job offer or contract. First one, we're going to talk about your employer. All right. So when you are signing a contract, when you are being offered a contract or a job, the first thing you need to know is, who is my employer? In short, who is going to pay my salary, right? So there are different types of employers when you come here to the United States. One, you can be directly hired by the facility. Like, for example, when I came over here, I was directly hired by the facility, which means my employer, in all the paperwork, immigration papers, even in my pay stub, even in my contract, is the hospital. It's actually South Texas Health System. I worked there for 3 years to finish my contract. It's beautiful little town and also very nice people. I loved my job there. But I have to move for better opportunities. And number one is employer. Who is your employer? So it could be one, you could be a direct hire by the hospital. So which means your employer is the hospital. Or two, you can be working with a recruiter for a direct hire. Like a lot of my partner agencies are direct hire, but they are not the employer. They are recruiting for the employers. So your employer is still the facility. And number three, you may not be employed directly by the facility or the hospital or organization or healthcare facility, but you are employed by the agency. We call this staffing agency. So you can see it on your contract. It says blah, 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 staffing agency, LLC or incorporated, wants to hire your name for what position and whatever. Okay. So the first thing to know is, who is your employer, right? A lot of nurses that I talk to that, you know, are confused with their job offers and contracts. I asked them, who is your employer? They're like, oh, my recruiter. I was like, no, I know that agency. They're recruiting. They're not your employer because they are direct hire recruiters, which means they're third party contracted to look for nurses, vet them, which means interview them, filter them, and find who can qualify in the positions that the hospital's looking for. But the hospital is still the employer. So find out who your employer, and what I want you to do is, if you found out who your employer is, do a quick Google search, type their name or organization, press enter, right? And then you find everything about the company. You read about us, you read who are the bosses, right? How much this facility is making, right? I like to do my research. I want to know that the one that I'm signing off or for is stable, right? And can actually support me when I come over here, that they're legit or legal, that they are real, authentic, and they are not scammers, right? I want to know the probably the issues that are surrounding this company. Have they been sued? Do they have an active lawsuit, right? And what do the nurses that they have brought here to the states feel about them, the support? So I want to know the employer. So that's what I want you guys to know. When I was coming here to the United States, I've gone through several interviews, but the one thing that I want to in my number one list is who is my employer, all right? Because your first few months, first few years here in the States will heavily be influenced by your employer. That's why a lot of nurses, there are one time in the group that I managed, Lefora, right? There was one who posted, um, give me your honest opinion. Do you think America is for you? I'm over here getting depressed. I want to go home. Your employer makes a huge mark on your first few months and few years as an immigrant here in the United States, right? So immigrating is stressful, right? You're in a new country, different cultures. USA is a melting pot of culture. There's multiple cultures. There's no distinct culture. So different races, different cultures, different practices. Each town is different from another town. Add to it the employer, right? If your employer is not very organized or not really takes care of you or overworks you and exhausts you or takes advantage of you, that really affects your perception about the country. And now you're like, you know what? This is not for me. I'm just not gonna go home. So number one, check who your employer is. And somebody asked me, a Facebook user, who is better? Which is better? Direct hire by the hospital? Should I go through a recruiter or should I go through a staffing agency? Well, all of them have pros and cons. Let's talk about staffing agencies first. So with staffing agencies, your employer is the staffing agency, not the hospital, right? The good thing about it is if the hospital backs out, all right? So, for example, the hospital said, oh, you know what? I've already filled the position. I don't need your nurse. We don't need it. We're going to cancel the offer or position for that nurse, right? Well, technically, your employer is not the hospital. Your employer is a staffing agency. So the staffing agency can still continue with your immigration process and you can still come here to the United States while they look for your next match or next hospital that matches you or facility, right? That's one. The disadvantage with staffing agency is you do not work for the hospital directly. So you don't get benefits from the hospital. You're treated as a contractor or a third party agency nurse and you're not a full-time nurse from the hospital. And if something were to happen between your staffing agency, and I've seen this a lot, and your hospital, right? For example, they had a contract issue or legality issue, and the hospital wants to bail out and say, "I don't want to work for this staffing agency anymore." Right? What's the problem? The next day you wake up, you don't have a job anymore. Right? The staffing agency lost the contract, you don't have a job. All right. So is staffing agency inherently bad? Actually, no. There's a lot of staffing agencies that can bring you here very quickly, right? And a lot of them have actually checked and they're doing a pretty good job for our immigrant nurses community, which is what I advocate. That's why I'm doing this show for information sessions for free because I don't want our immigrant nurses taken advantage of. And staffing agencies are not inherently bad. A lot of them have got good offers. But if I am going to contract myself with a staffing agency, I'm going to check the staffing agency first. Check my employer, right? Are they a big company? If the hospital that was trying to hire me through this agency quits, can this staffing agency find me another job within a week? Or do I have to wait after 6 months and I don't have a job and now I have to work in Walmart or McDonald's or in the gas station in the store? So check your employer. Now, direct hires are nice, right? Because you have a recruiter. If you worked with a recruiter, mostly these recruiters have multiple hospitals that they're connected with. So that's why you need to check the recruiters too. Is this recruitment agency um, have broad networks? That way, if the hospital that's trying to hire you backs out, can they find you another one quickly? That's one, right? Because with direct hire, you are hired by the facility, yes, you get all the full-time benefits, right? You get all the full-time treatment, full-time nurse treatment, perks, benefits, and all that. But if the hospital backs out with the direct hire, you're done, right? If the hospital says, I don't need you anymore, and you're like, so what? Who's gonna hire me? You're like, we don't know because we're done. We're not gonna hire you anymore. We're quitting, right? And that's what happened to a lot of nurses back in my years when we were all waiting for 10 years, 8 years, 6 years to get here to the United States. A lot of the hospitals backed out because by the time our immigration process were current, the hospitals don't need us no more. They already filled the position. So that's one bad thing with direct hires because the hospital can back out. That's why if you're working with a hospital, have a backup plan because after 6 months they might need you anymore, not need you anymore, and they're gonna drop you, right? If you're working with a recruiter, again, number one, check your employer, check the recruitment facility or agency. Do they have a lot of networks? The bigger they are, the more networks they have, the more options you're gonna get, right? But again, your option, what's good here is I'm pro choice, which means there are different choices. Researching is key. All right. So make sure that you're actually talking to a person, to a company who cares for nurses. Like I said, immigrating to the United States is not easy, but partner with someone that you know cares for you and your family, right? Because that's very important. So make sure that the employer has this value that values you as a person, not just another number. All right. So that's number one, employer. Okay. And of course, number two, when you know with your research about your employer, number two, check in your contract where or what is the facility, right? Number two, facility. When I say facility, it could be a hospital, but not all immigrant nurses are hired in a hospital. Some of them are hired in clinics, home care facilities, skilled nursing facilities, assisted living, senior living, um, and so many other different outpatient or what's this rehab facilities that could hire you because there's so many spots for nurses here. It's not only hospital. So check your facility. I know some of nurses got scammed because they were offered and they signed and they're like, sir, what do you think about this job? I feel like the contract has a lot of red flags because first of all, the English was off, and secondly, they're like, we're gonna give you a salary of 3,000 a month. That's not how job contracts here in the United States look like. It's always per hour. It's not per month. It's not per week because they don't know how many hours you're gonna work in a week. Some nurses here work 60 hours, right? So I feel like there was a red flag. So what I did is copy the name of the facility and put it in Google. You know what I found? The hospital is not existent. No address, not registered. It was a hoax. It was a scam. In short, this nurse almost fell for a scam. All right. So check the facility. What does Facebook and Google and Yelp reviews say about this facility? Where is it located? Is it a safe community around the facilities? Is it a safe neighborhood, right? Research with your facility. You know what I did when I got hired in the United States? So my first employer backed out. But because my recruiter has other hospitals that she's connected with, she found me another hospital in the same city. But you know what I do? I use Google Map and use the road. What's this? The street view, and I would go around the street like I'm driving around the hospital, checking everywhere. So when I went to the hospital, I was like, oh, I've already seen this in Google, right? Around this hospital, I know it's in the back, I know it's in the front, I know where to park because I've already seen it. And I like try to like pretend that I'm driving around the city, checking where the nearest grocery store is back. I'm very proactive with that. Check your facility and make sure that this facility is what you really are looking for, all right? Maybe you got assigned to a skilled nursing facility, but you actually have never worked in a skilled nursing facility, right? Maybe the recruiter is telling you you're going to be hired in a hospital and you check Google and you do street map and it literally says their rehab facility. Rehab facility is not a hospital, right? It's rehab, it's long-term care. So something like that, right? That's number two. And don't forget to pop your questions here. We're going to talk about 8 more stuff about things to check with your contracts and job offer. All right. Number three, all right, that you need to check. Position, all right? What position is being offered, all right? Are you being offered a nurse position, RN? Because I've seen some contracts where the nurse was about to sign and it says the position is LPN, licensed practical nurse, or certified nurse assistant, all right? Remember, once you sign it and you've come to an agreement with whoever was offering you that job, it's legally binding and there's no way around it. You have to fulfill it, otherwise they can chase you for breaching the contract. Good morning, Rose. She's also from Ghana. Thank you for joining. But check the position. What position is being offered to you? Is this what you really want? Is this matching your skills? Have you been offered a nurse position? Have you been offered a CNA position? Right? Are you being offered an OR position when you're actually a medical surgical nurse? Are you being offered a pediatric position when you're actually an L&D nurse? Is there a match in your skills? Are you trained to do these things? Because when you come over here, they expect you to know what you're doing, right? So make sure that the position matches to what you're looking for, right? And a lot of immigrant nurses are so scared to ask questions. Be proactive, right? Advocate for yourself. If asking question irritates your recruiter, maybe they're not a perfect match for you. Because trust me, asking for position or employer or the contract is not the only question you're gonna have. Immigration process is very complicated. If they don't have patience dissecting their contract with you and things that you are very worried about that they could not answer you, or they are providing answers that are, half baked answers, what we call it. They're really not answering the question. They're just going around, beating around the bush. Well, maybe they're not a perfect match for you. I also looked at the character of the person I'm talking to. So, position. Be mindful with the contracts that you're signing. Ask question, ask question. You say, hold on, why is this saying certified nurse assistant? I'm a registered nurse. And if they say, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. When you come over here, you're going to be a nurse. Guys, trust me, even if this is your brother that you're talking to, even if this is your aunt or uncle or family member from fourth generation, fourth cousin, if this is someone you know, or you think, oh, because this person is popular in Facebook, I know they're not going to scam me. Trust me, right? People who got scammed are people who trusted right off the bat, all right? I'm not saying to be mistrustful. I'm just saying be proactive about yourself. You are talking about your job. You are talking about your career, your economy for your family. You're moving here. You're spending a lot of money coming over here. Be proactive. Check the position. Ask questions. All right. If it's not matching your skills, you tell them, I'm sorry, I'm a pediatric nurse, but you're giving me an L&D job. I've never had to deal with mommies giving birth. All right. And they said, oh, that's the only job that we have for you. If you take it now, we're going to bring you here in 6 months. Guys, don't do it. All right. Because when you come over here, they would expect you to know something. And if, God forbid, you make a mistake, they might revoke your license. All right. Put you to jail. Hopefully not. All right. And the next point that I want to raise that you guys want to check in your contract. Do you have questions so far, people? Please tag your friends. This is very informative. And this is also for people who are asking me questions about what to check in the contract. Well, this is the answer for you, right? Number 4, what unit or department? I've mentioned this earlier. What unit or department are you going to be placed? All right. I've heard a lot of nurses who are experienced ICU nurses for 10, 15 years, and their job offer says skilled nursing facility. Well, that's a totally different expertise. I'm not sure why you have a different um, offer than what you are skilled for. So do not rely on only one company. Do your research, ask questions, see. Do not sign any contract. Anyone who tells you, I'm going to give you 24 hours to sign this contract. If you don't sign this contract, we're not going to hire you, right? Guys, you know what I say about that? It's good riddance. You know what? Don't hire me, right? Because if you're rushing me, there's something here that you don't want me to know, right? So that's it. Don't let them give you a sense of urgency. That's how people get scammed, because when they're vulnerable, when they don't read their contracts, when they're rushing them, when they're being rushed, right? You can't think critically. That's how people get scammed. And there's a lot of nurses that got scammed already. Just go to Google and check how many lawsuits have been filed for immigrant nurses. Look at all the Facebook groups here in the United States with American nurses here talking about how immigrant nurses are being scammed in their hospitals, are being abused on a daily. And this is why I'm doing the USA Nurse series of the Dr. Nurse Paul Show, because my advocacy is I want to stand up about this issue. I do not want immigrant nurses, being an immigrant nurse myself, be abused and taken advantage of because of their naivety, because of their unwavering, motivating fire, right? Or what's this? Desire to fulfill the American dream, all right? I don't want people or any organization to do that. And I stand up to organizations that I think are not matching what nurses should should be getting, or at least being treated properly, because some agencies or facilities or organization are really just all about money. All right, they don't really care about you as a person. So make sure that you are actually connecting with the people that are employing you. And again, going back to the point, make sure that the unit and department is clearly stated on the contract. Somebody just messaged me. I was recruited as an ER nurse. When I got here, it says I'm a float nurse. And now they're sending me to three different facilities all around the states because they said I'm an ER nurse and they have three different facilities. Now I'm here, now I'm here, now I'm there. Guys, this is my question. All right. Was it stated in your contract that you're going to be only be staying in one facility? If not, then maybe you also have a fault because you did not advocate for yourself. But if it's stated there that you're only going to be staying in one facility, or it's not stated there that you're going to be floating, then your employer is breaching the contract and you need to ask an immigration or an employment lawyer, right? And another thing, if they're gonna do that, are they gonna pay your insurance while you're traveling? Because God forbid there's an accident. I like to knock on the wood. I'm a little superstitious. I'm a Filipino. Um, so I like to knock on the wood, right? God forbid you get into an accident on the way to the job because they're moving you to another facility. Are they gonna cover you? Because they should, right? And the travel time is not paid. So if you clock in facility A and they're like, you know what, we don't need you here. We want you in facility B, which is 2 hours away. You travel and that 2 hours is not paid. Wasted time and effort, wasted gas, and you don't want that. All right. So be careful. Make sure that everything that you need to know is in the contract and it's specifically stated in the contract. There was one viewer who said, I heard that news from other aspirant nurses who's in the US already applying as a nurse, but when they arrive, they are given other positions. That is true. It's not a joke. The Facebook group that I manage, it's Lefora for Filipino nurses, but it has now grown to have a lot of foreign countries other than Philippines. I've managed this group for years along with my other co-admins, but we've seen a lot of these questions already, and these are real life situations. Unfortunately, we cannot just divulge a lot of information that are given to us because we respect the person's privacy and the organization's privacy. We tell them to seek legal advice, but we really cannot drop the ball and tell everybody because we have not launched our investigation ourselves, right? And we are not trained to do that. But we do hear stories. We do give them advices and resources of who to call, who to contact, where to get advice, where to get legal remedy, because we're not lawyers. But these stories are real and they're happening every single day. Very unfortunate, very sad. But I don't want you guys to undergo those things. That's why I'm doing this show, to make sure that you guys are informed what to look for in contracts and job offers before you even get to the point where you cannot go out anymore. Somebody just asked me the other day, can I still go out? They were so very what's this? They were very encouraging at the beginning. They were very communicative and they're always available. And now that I signed with them, it's been 6 months and there's no response from them. They haven't even updated me what's going on. Has my contract been has my petition been started, right? So that's how it is. That's why verify the person that you're talking to and make sure that they're really out there to help you. All right. But I do agree big companies are busy as well. But open the lines of communication. Talk with them. All right. And also talk in a very professional manner. Don't be like you're like ranting all the time because nobody likes to talk to a person who rants all the time, right? So, but that's it. That's number four. Number five that we want to talk about is hold on and that's it. Okay, so number five is a salary. All right, very important. How much are you gonna make? All right, don't sign a contract that says we're gonna pay you $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month. That is not how U.S. contracts look like. When you come over here, all contracts for nurses are by the hour, per hour, unless you're salaried. Salaried nurses are the directors, nurse managers, clinical supervisors, chief nurse officer. But if you're working as an RN in the bedside, it should be per hour 38.5 per hour, 40 per hour, 50 per hour, 45 per hour, 60 per hour. Now, this is the most common question I always get. Do you think the salary is enough? Do you think the salary is good? Guys, to be honest with you, I don't know. And I keep saying the same thing, all right? Texas, like, sir, I'm working in this part of Texas. Do you think this is okay? I don't know. I'm in Houston. If you ask me about Houston, maybe I could say yes, right? But how would I know? Texas alone has 900 different counties and several thousand cities, just the Texas alone. And there's 49 other states. Each state and county and city would have different salaries, cost of living, average salaries for nurses, different setup, different rules. That's just how it works here in the United States. All right. So check your salary. How do you know if the salary is comparative? All right, guys, let me tell you about this beautiful thing called Google. All right. You guys are forgetting how powerful Google is. Google, I remember the first time I've used Google was 1999. How many years ago was that? I was in grade school and I need to research about something. And all I typed was what I would need to research for. I think that time I had an assignment in history class and we were talking about world history and this scenario. And I typed it and I was so impressed. Google and Yahoo search in the past. But Google has grown so much and there's so much wealth of information in the internet, right? But of course, a lot of people don't have the patience to do that. But this is about your career and your future. Please spend at least 5 to 10 minutes to do a Google search. Type the city that you're going to. For example, you're going to Denver, Colorado, and then type average salary of nurses. Or you can check these websites. Can you write it down? Indeed.com, Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, Glasdoor.com, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, LinkedIn's like Facebook for professional. LinkedIn.com. And then we also have payscale.com. Payscale.com. These are four websites that I check when I'm looking for a job, right? Um, I check, for example, I put the city, I put the position RN, and then check the city, and then it shows me all the available jobs and all the offers. And these websites also have pay scale checker to check, is your offer like matching the average, at least the median. Okay, the what they show there are median, which means average. All right, it means it could be a little lower or higher, but at least we go close to the median, because if the median in that area, because it's high cost of living, because it's different cost of living, right? For example, you are in LA, right? Very high cost of living. You're in San Francisco, and your offer is 60 an hour. I would not be able to tell you if that's enough or not, because I'm not in that market. I do not know how much nurses make over there. If I do work over there, I might have an idea, right? But a 60 an hour in San Francisco is not the same as 60 an hour if you are in a small county in Louisiana or in Alabama, because that will be a lot of money for those small counties, right? Because the cost of living is low. So you're like, oh my God, my friend got offered 60 in San Francisco, and they're offering me 30 an hour in this so rural county with 2,000 people. Well, maybe that's why the offer is low, because the cost of living for that county or city is very low. All right. So, like, for example, I'll give you an overview. Texas nurses here in Texas, Houston nurses make more than Austin nurses and Dallas nurses, right? Um, Houston, Texas nurses make more money than Tennessee nurses, than Alabama nurses, than Louisiana and Florida nurses, right? California nurses make more than Texan nurses. New York nurses, most especially New York City, make more than Houston nurses. But that's because of the difference in cost of living. Now, go to Google, search the average salary for RNs in that area, specific city where you're working at, right? That's how you know if you're close to the median. Say, for example, the median is 35 an hour, right? And the offer to you is 25. Don't sign the contract. That's too far from the median, okay? But if the median is 25 and the offer is 40, well, you know what? I'll sign the contract right away. But honestly, check first, because sometimes if it's too good to be true, it may not be true, or most often than not, it's not true. Someone asked, let me answer this question before I proceed. In your opinion or ideas, what is the highest or lowest per hour rate offer as a new nurse? They're in US or they vary on work of experience or specialty. I just answered this. I will not be able to tell you what is the highest and lowest, because again, it differs from city to city, differences in cost of living, and differences in experience level. Of course, the more experienced you are, the more you get. The more specialized you are, ICU, ERs get more than med surg nurses and pediatric nurses. So the more in demand your specialty is, the more you get. All right. But the more in demand the specialty is, the more competitive it becomes as well. Like, for example, ICU, very in demand, high pay, but honestly, how many ICU nurses are applying? You could be competing with ICU nurses that have 15 years experience and you have 1 year. So it becomes very competitive as well. So I could not tell you what's the highest and lowest, because, like I said, I only know the Houston market, but I would not know what it is in San Francisco or Los Angeles or San Diego, California, or New York City, because I've never worked there. I've worked in Chicago, but I'm a travel nurse, so I paid premium. I get paid premium, right? So I would not know. But the best way to do that is, again, look at these websites: Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, LinkedIn.com, and Payscale.com, and they will tell you the median salary for whatever city you are and what position you're looking for. Okay. And next, thank you for that question. Number 6, I need my coffee. And thank you guys for those who are joining. We're about to wrap up real soon. I still have like 15 minutes to finish this. Um, the next one we're going to talk about is number 6, benefits. All right. So, benefits, I have my little cheat sheet here. Benefits. All right. Whether you're working for a staffing agency or a direct hire, all of the full-time nurses here by law would have benefits. All right. So, of course, in your paycheck, you're going to pay for taxes, all right? You have federal taxes, you have state taxes, city taxes, local county taxes, and so many other taxes. Welcome to the America, right? But here in Texas, we don't have state tax, we don't have city tax, we only pay federal taxes. So we save a lot of money. There are only 7 states that don't have state tax, but they get their money somewhere else, like property taxes and stuff like that. But anyway, taxes is another discussion. We're going to talk about it next year when Dr. Nurse Paul resumes after Christmas. But that's going to be for next year. Like we do 2 episodes, the USA Nurse series and Next Gen NCLEX. So for USA Nurse series next year, we're going to talk about taxes and investments, something that I'm very passionate about. In fact, I created a group for that, the Scrubs Investors, and now I have almost 11,000 members there of nurses all around the states, Americans and immigrants, talking about investments, because I like information, I like sharing thoughts and ideas. All right. Anyway, going back, benefits, medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, right? Your retirement fund. So in retirement, it's like 401k. It's a retirement fund, right? You contribute there. Your company contributes you after certain dollars. So what we call company matching. Take advantage of that, because that's free money. Like, for example, if the company says we match you with 3%, common is 3%, a dollar per dollar for 3%, or 50 cents up to 6% or 3%. So if you're earning 100,000 a year, right? 3% of 100,000 a year is $3,000. That's free money that your employer is contributing to you if you contribute that much. It's called matching. You have to contribute first and they'll match it, right? So you put 3,000, you get 6,000, and that's your retirement fund. So it grows over time if it's properly invested. Check for the benefits. Other benefits like relocation package, sign-on bonuses, right? And benefits like do you get perks as an employee, discounts with rents, discounts with telephone services, right? And benefits such as do they give you employment assistance, something like that. So study the benefits. You ask your recruiter, all right, your employer, whoever's giving you the contract, is what are the benefits? What do I get? Check benefits like PTOs or paid time off. All right, these are your sick leaves and vacation leaves. How much are you accruing per month? Because there's hourly accruals of PTOs per month or per paycheck. Like with me, when I was still full time before I did travel nursing, I was earning 14 hours of paid time off per month. Is that right? Every 2 weeks, it's like 6.5 or 7 hours every 2 weeks. So paycheck is every 2 weeks. So in a month, I have 14 hours, which is actually what 1 or 2 days, right? Of paid time off, and I accrue that, and then end of the year I would take a trip, go to Europe for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and I get paid for 2 weeks, right? Because in a year I would get about 2 weeks of 2 to 3 weeks of paid time off, right? So there's that. And then a lot of employers give you workers compensation. That's by law, which means if you get injured, the employer will pay for your rehabilitation, labs, and all checkups, right? And other things like disability insurance or life insurance. Knock on the wood, you shouldn't need it, but employers are like, okay, we're gonna give you $100,000 worth of life insurance. Something happens to you while at work, it's free. You don't have to sign up for it. We give it to you for free. So all of these things you need to know. All right. Benefits. Next one. Very important. Number 7, the duration of the contract. How long are you supposed to work for this company? Is it at will, which means for as long as you want and for as long as they want? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Is it 5,600 hours? Is it 6,000 hours? Right? And be careful with this because I've already called out quite a few companies and I drew flack in the past for dropping the bomb and calling off these companies in the group that I manage. All right. Some of them would say, okay, you are contracted with us for 3 years, but your overtimes, your paid time offs, you took a vacation for a month, they don't count it, even if the hospital is paying you because you're on paid time off. All right. Back in my job, the whole 3 years is counted. Whether I went to the Philippines for 3 weeks, I went to Europe for 2 weeks, I was out for a week, I was in Austin on my birthday in 2017. I was out for a week for my birthday in Las Vegas. 2018, I was in Austin. 2019, I was in New York City. 2020, I was in Cancun. All of these are paid time offs, but I finished my contract, right? Other companies are like, oh, your orientation doesn't count, but you've been oriented for 6 months. So you mean to say the 6 months doesn't count to the duration? Now you're 3 years and 6 months. Be careful with these things. Make sure that the contract would say how many years you're contracted, including hours for paid time off, including orientation hours, including these things. Everything should be written down. If they say, oh, don't worry about it, we'll work on it once you get there, that's how you get scammed, all right? Because you trust them verbally. Anything that's not written or not documented in nursing did not happen, right? Anything that's not in the contract was not talked about, and they don't need to honor, right? Put it in the contract, right? Transact approach you looking for a job as a nurse in the States. Approach it as though you are negotiating with a business, right? When I negotiate for a business, I talk about what do we need to do? What are the responsibilities? Myself and you as a partner, what should be, everything should be in the contract, even if I'm dealing with friends, because everything has to be clear, right? And this is actually business because you're selling yourself, not yourself, your skills and your experience. So deal with it not with emotion, but with critical thinking, all right? With right mind that, yes, I do trust you. I do trust what you say, but the contract is there and it should be written down there and I'm going to sign it once you put it in the contract. Or if not, just clarify it in the contract why it shouldn't be written down, all right? And next, we also have number 8 after the duration of contract. Number 8 is recruitment package. Now, this is where the competition spices up. All right, when when recruiters are recruiting, they tell you, okay, we give you sign-on bonus. Okay, you give relocation package, free hotel for a month, free housing for 3 months, free car for a month, free car for 3 months, right? Free airfare. Well, of course, they should give you free airfare because they're hiring you. If they're not, if they're telling you that you pay your own airfare, guys, run. Okay, there are hundreds of recruiters. If you don't know where to go, send me a message and I can connect you to my recruiters that I've personally vetted, which means I've already talked to the owners of this company and I know what they do. All right. If there's something wrong, I will personally talk to the owners of this company to make sure that the nurses that I referred to are not taking advantage of. All right. And that's how I deal with. I do not deal with recruiters. I go straight to the owners of the company because that's how I'm assured that I'm going to work with these owners of the company and they're going to take care of my nurses because they know my advocacies, right? So if you don't know where to go, ask me and I can connect you to my recruiters. But I'm not a recruiter myself. I'm just trying to help people that are looking for recruiters, right? But what is in the recruitment package, all right? Um, some recruiters would say, oh, you know what? When you come over here, we're gonna give you a free tour, or we're gonna help you open up a bank account and social security. We're gonna pick you up from the hotel. You have a concierge service for a week until you finish. Or when you get here, you have 1 month of orientation. We're gonna orient you ourselves before you go to the hospital. We're gonna assist you with opening bank accounts. And a lot of agencies are doing this. I love it because they're supporting our migrant nurses. You know, the first 1 to 3 months is rough because you're establishing, you don't have a credit report. It's so hard to find an apartment right now. You don't have a bank account. Everything here is credit cards and debit cards. Cash is rarely used nowadays. Um, Lots of transition. You don't have a car. A lot of cities, it's not like New York City everywhere. Here in Texas, we don't use trains, right? So you have to drive. So something like that. So make sure that um, check the recruitment package and compare it with other providers, right? And if you really like this employer, you say, hey, the other provider is giving 1 month of free shuttle or free, Uber or free rental car. Can you please give it to me? And they're like, no, we can't do that. Well, maybe you need to consider other contracts. So I'm not saying walk away just because they didn't give you one month of car contract, but decide for yourself. Maybe the hourly rate is better. Maybe it's in a city that you want because it's closer to your family. But part of it is recruitment package. This is what I like because I like, things to spice up competition is what I say. I'm pro competition. We're American thinking. I'm pro choice. So all of us are competing. It doesn't have to be monopolized by one or two or three companies, right? And that's the beauty of the American way of things. There's always choices. And that's what I want nurses to have to choices. All right. Now, because nurses have choices, we're stepping up the game for the recruiters to make sure that they're giving and offering things for our nurses. All right. So we're stepping up the game by encouraging the agencies and recruiters to be more competitive, give something that will benefit our nurses. All right. Something like that. And that's what I've always advocated. Always speak up because I want to advocate for nurses. I tell agencies, if you really want to hire nurses, why don't you pay for their 1 month rent, right? Why don't you offer that? Why don't you give them a shuttle for a month while they're settling down? Because I was here and I didn't have a shuttle for a month and it was a little rough. Good thing I had friends that I was able to connect to that was able to drive me around the city. But why don't you offer that, right? So now all the things, the offers are being more competitive because we're speaking up, and that's what we need, right? Next, number nine, and I'm about to finish. I'm already way over time. Number nine, track record of the company. All right. Short Google search, type the company, who's recruiting you. Is this an agency? Is this a recruitment agency, staffing agency? Is this a hospital? What's the track record? What do nurses say about them? What's the feedback about this company? Have they been helpful? Have they been sued? Have they been left or departed by their nurses? Or there's no activity in their online presence, or they have bad feedbacks in their business bureau review? Check their track record. American companies that are based here should have verified websites and stuff like that. And of course, if they really are a good company, their nurses would speak for themselves, their clients would speak for themselves. Check their track record. Okay. And the last one, very important, before you sign a contract, check check number 10, living conditions and cost of living in the city you're heading to. All right. I know everybody wants to go to San Francisco and New York City and Los Angeles, California, and all the big cities, Chicago, Illinois. But honestly, it doesn't have to be a big city, right? Especially if you're establishing, because big cities might overwhelm you. But it's up to you. I'm a city person, so I moved to Houston. I like the big city setup, but I would not have drive there at the beginning if I was by myself. And I'm glad I started with a suburb, because it gave me time to really adapt to the American way of things. But what's the living conditions? What's the crime rate? What are the categories of the schools? Are they good performing for your kids? How far are the groceries, the hospitals, the schools, the banks? Is this in the middle of nowhere where you have to drive 2 hours just to get grocery because you forgot to buy food, right? Or is this in a heavily inundated areas with floods or tornadoes? Know where you are heading. So with me, when I knew that I was moving somewhere in the city, I started in McAllen, Texas. It's close to the Mexican border, so lots of Hispanic community. I started learning Spanish. I started reading about the city, what's the temperature, what's the average weather per month, what's the way of things, where can I find things, what's the cost of living. Cost of living means there's data that you can check cost of living and put the city, and there's different websites that would tell you, but also check their rent, apartment.com, and put the city and see how much the rents are going for, because those are the things you want to look for. How much are the gas in that area, right? Because like here in Texas, my gas, I mean, I don't use gas, I drive a Tesla, but my friends use gas and it's like $2.9 per gallon. But when you go to Hawaii, I was in Hawaii a few months ago for a travel contract, it's like $5.5, right? In California, it's 4 point something dollars. So it differs from area to area. So it's more expensive in some areas. So something like that, cost of living, how much is the rent, how much are the groceries in that area because they differ from area to area, how much are the schools if you want private schools, but I mean public schools here are paid by taxpayers' money, so it's free. And so many other things. All right. So living conditions, consider weather, all right? Especially if you're coming from tropical countries, all right? I don't know with y'all, but I mean, I live in Texas for a reason. I'm not good with snow. I've traveled a lot and I've seen snow multiple times. Picture perfect, right? Great. But honestly, I can't thrive anywhere there's snow or ice. My head is just pounding. I have bad allergic rhinitis and my nose flares up, starts bleeding. It's just very uncomfortable, right? Add to the fact that you have to shovel during snow. But yeah, I'm good in Texas because the weather is just like my Philippines, right? Mostly warm all throughout the year. And I love it that way. I can still go out and run, go to the gym. Life doesn't stop because there's snow that's like 70 inches taller than me outside, right? Where I'm going to drown in snow. But snows are perfect. But find what's good for you. Some people like snow and that works for them and I admire them, right? Check the weather, check the culture. What's the predominant race in there? Because you're going to learn from them as well. Where do you buy food? What type of food do they eat in there, right? So, and then of course, things like crime rate, don't forget about that. Cities are big, if you're moving to big cities, not all parts of the cities, even Houston, I could say that, is safe. So look for those parts that are safe, okay? And do not live in areas where, oh, you know what, it's cheap here. It's only like $700 a month for rent. I'm going to go here because I want to be practical, right? And then you park your car. The next morning, your car don't have wheels, right? Now you gotta take the Uber to work and have to buy wheels, right? No, no, for real. Or you might be in an area where outside your house people are shooting each other or doing drugs in front of your house or where you are. And if you're a night shift nurse, that's very dangerous. Check where you are gonna live. It's not all about, oh, I'm gonna save $100 in this area. Guys, security is everything, just like everywhere else in the world. You don't want to live in areas where you shouldn't be. Go join what one of my friends, Yanni, did because she's working in North Dakota. And you know, North Dakota, there's not a lot of people there. And she's going to work in Fargo, I think. So what she did, she joined Facebook groups in that area and started posting questions months before she got there. And that's very smart, if you ask me. But I had friends already in McAllen, Texas, so I started asking them questions, you know. But that's it. Use your resources, connections to ask people about cost of living and living conditions of people who are already there, particularly immigrant nurses. Okay, so that's the 10 things that you guys want to look for when checking your job offers and contracts from your possible employer. Okay, and again, this is a two-part show. We're gonna tell you the next show, but before I go, I just want to announce that Aspire RN, my NCLEX company, we've been doing pretty well. So many passers. We can't even keep up posting them in Facebook because we're focused on our student. I still have a class. My students are waiting. Some of them are here. But we are running a Christmas promo. All right. I just want to put it out there. 50% off for our Sure Pass program. This is a $450 value what's this program. It's now down to $225 till December 25. So please take advantage. We rarely put up a 50% off. I'm just doing this because in the spirit of Christmas, and I just want to help more nurses to join. Next year, the Aspire RN prices are set to go up. I mean, because of inflation and because I'm going to include next gen master classes. If you enroll with me, you're not only going to do live classes where we do lectures. You're gonna do a total of 40 to 50 live classes over a span of 3-4 months, and 10 of those classes are next generation NCLEX classes. And when you enroll now, you're gonna get that for free. I don't think any other centers, particularly where I came from, are trained to do next gen NCLEX. I'm trained here. I'm educated here in the United States as a nurse educator. So this is something that I'm really passionate about and I really love doing. So give me a chance to help you. If you want to do NCLEX or if you've already passed or failed in the past, give me a chance to help you using my method, using my study plan. And I've team members that will get you onboarded. Please message my team in Inspire RN. We're going to post the link here in our comments later. My team will start responding to your questions. But also send me a message in the Dr. Nurse Paul Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, or in Aspire RN Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to connect you there. Our team members are ready to answer your questions. You don't have to enroll to us if you just have questions about what should I do, where should I go, right? Or you can also visit my TikTok, very informative. I have a lot of TikToks there. How to start with NCLEX, particularly for new grads and new NCLEX. New nurses that have just passed the local boards in the Philippines. There's thousands of them. I put up a lot of TikTok. It's in my website, linktree/Dr. Nurse Paul. linktr.ee/Dr. Nurse Paul. linktr.ee/Dr. Nurse Paul. If you type this, you're gonna see all my playlists, what to do, how to start with NCLEX, what's the step one, what's the step two, should I go for a review center? All of the most common questions that I get, I've already answered there. Okay. Anyway, the next part of this show is gonna be on what's this, December 14. It's gonna be 8 p.m. Central US time. 8 p.m. Today is we start 8 a.m. So we're gonna start 8 p.m. I'm gonna be joined by Attorney Nick Caracal, an immigration lawyer. Very good, excellent lawyer. We're gonna talk about immigration policies. We're gonna talk about different visas, different stuff that you need to know, how petition works, how to get here as an immigrant, so many other stuff that you guys need to know. This is very informative. And if I didn't answer your question today, please do come over to this show and we're going to answer you live with attorney Nick Caracal. And on Saturday, next Saturday, this is the first Saturday of the month, or I think second Saturday. The next Saturday, following Saturday after this, December 17, 2022, is the another episode of the Secrets of the Next Generation NCLEX. A lot of nurses are still not aware that NCLEX will change next year, but join me next Saturday, same time, 8 a.m., same channel, your Aspire RN and Dr. Nurse Paul Facebook page and YouTube. I'm also streaming live in YouTube. Thank you to our YouTube followers. Thank you for interacting with me today. And we're going to do sample case scenarios part 3. What I do is give you a case study and we're going to dissect it and tell you how to answer it and how you are scored live. This is a free demo class, all right? But if you're interested with Next Gen NCLEX, join my class. And you can also get the Next Gen NCLEX Master Classes, which I'm going to start on January for my nurses who are going to be taking their exam on April, all right? So that's it. I'm doing my classes with Aspire RN. My students are waiting now, and I'm going to go to class for the next 4 hours. But thank you guys for joining. Please don't forget to join or follow Dr. Nurse Paul in Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, so you can get notifications of our shows and promos. By the way, forgot to say that next Saturday in the Next Generation NCLEX, we will have one winner for a giveaway of an NCLEX package or SurePass Pro review package from Aspire RN. So join me next Saturday, and we're going to put up the mechanics soon. But if you join me, you will have a chance to win an NCLEX package. I've already had multiple winners. All the next generation classes that I did, I always throw, NCLEX package to help nurses that are not, that don't have the funds to pay for their NCLEX. But if that's something you're interested, join me. But I also offer scholarships through my partner agencies. Message me on Facebook if that's something you are interested with. All right. Thank you guys for joining me today. We're about to cut this show. You all have a great day, and I'll see you on the Dr. Nurse Paul Show.
You have just watched the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. Watch us live every Saturday, 8 a.m. Central U.S. Time. For more info about our future events, follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Dr. Nurse Paul on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next week.